Hello everybody, my name is Tiffany, I'm a Tipsy Artist, and today we are painting our beautiful painting called Kiss My Country Bass. All right, so this is a super fun painting. Let me go ahead and show you the model here. We have this gorgeous little fishy, he's so sweet. And I love to decorate him with lots of little frou-frous. So I have my beautiful little butterflies and my roses and my little leaves. And I love to teach beginners how to paint. So let me show you what I provide for y'all. All right, so we have templates. We have Tipsy templates for y'all. All right, so we've got this awesome fish shape. And we have a butterfly, and we have a rose. So we make it super, super easy for y'all. And I have all the instructions with all the supplies and everything on my website. And then let me give you a little glance at our awesome little paint kits here. So we've got all of your paint, all your brushes, your beautiful premium canvas, and the templates. They all come together as a painting party pack. And so all these supplies are super awesome. These are by Royal Brush. We love y'all. Yes, love you so much. All right, so here we go. We're gonna get started. So I have mine all traced out to begin with, and I have mine done with a Sharpie. That way you can see it really well as we go through the process. But I do recommend you using a pencil to begin with. This will give you a lot more confidence, and if we have a little oopsie, then of course you can easily correct it. Then once you get your pencil trace done, if you want, then you can kind of firm up your hard lines with the Sharpie. So that'll even give you more confidence when you're coming in and doing some of your outline work and that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's gonna be our great little start here. So we're all ready to go. Now, let me give you a quick little visual on brushes that I've got nearby. I've got a lot. So we've got lots of different brush packs online for y'all, but today, primarily, I'm going to be using these little sweetie pies. All right, so this is my mama, this is my little buddy, and this is my little bit. All right, so here we go. We're gonna start with the interior of the fish first, and I'm going to make my bass a beautiful turquoise color. All right, so I've got some paint nearby already on my little plates. And by the way, I just use basic paper plates. That's all I use. Keeps it really simple. A rag or a paper towel is all you really need. All right, so I'm going to start by mixing up some turquoise. So I will use, oh, by the way, let me show you this too. So the brush is just slightly moist. And so we put it in the water, but then dry it off because you don't want excess water in your brush because you don't want water runs happening on your canvas. All right, so once I've got that done, then I can go ahead and start to pull in the paint here. We're going to do a little bit of a mix here with a dollop of the white, and then a dollop of the blue, and then a dollop of the green. All right, so we've got white, blue, and green. We're going to mix all of these together. This will give me a beautiful turquoise color. Yay, there is my beautiful turquoise. See, it kind of matches my necklace. All right, so you can play with this a little bit here too. You can add just a little bit more white to it to give it more of like a seafoam color, or you can add a little bit more green to it. That pulls it to more of like a teal color. Or you can go with more of that cobalt blue, and that makes it more of like a deep turquoise color. So lots of fun options with that. So I've got this all loaded up, ready to go on my canvas. We're going to start to apply this onto our canvas here. I'm going to go ahead and start to push this down. Now, this coverage is really great with the turquoise paint. So we don't have to worry too much about how we hold the brush. Sometimes, depending on the color, they can become a little bit translucent, especially with our jewel tones, but anytime we have a lot of white in the mix, it always gives us a helping hand by giving us really great coverage over the surface. So I'm going to start to apply this on the canvas, but I will tell you that if you are experiencing a little bit of a transparency with the thinning paint, just make sure that you hold that brush over to the side, parallel to the canvas, and that will give you much better coverage over the surface. So it really keeps the pressure off the hand, and it allows a lot more of that paint to just really rest lightly on the surface there. Now when we do our little cut-in work though, we need to go ahead and hold that brush more like a pencil. That gives us a lot more control, and it also allows the thinner line edge of the brush to do the work. So that will give us a lot more precision as we start to work into this painting here. So I'll do my line work around the edges. Then when I'm coming back into the center to help blend that back into the larger area, then I go ahead and turn that handle over to the side and then do a nice soft little blend back into the larger area here. So again, line edge for your cut-in work, hold it like a pencil, and then when you're going ahead and working back into the larger area, then you want to go ahead and hold it over to the side. Just kind of lightly feather that out to blend it back into this larger area here. And I can't see very well without these, so here we go. I gotta put these on. And then y'all can't really see me with them on because they have lovely little light reflectors. Isn't that beautiful? Here's the thing about painting, you have to see. However, I have taught blind people how to paint before. And you're like, that sounds interesting. Well, it is, and it's actually really fun. So what I do is I need to do a video on that actually, but I create a textured canvas. And I use some slick paint for all the line work. And then of course I do have to help the student a lot throughout the process. But the initial line work is done with the relief on top of the canvas, so it's pretty cool. And then they're able to paint. And they do a lot through feeling and texture. It's really awesome. But for y'all today, I think it's important that I see what I'm doing. So, and I have glasses, so that helps. I did that part earlier without my glasses on. I'm like, oh, what happened? That's okay. I'm going to be painting over that a little bit later with a different color, so it doesn't really matter. And while I'm thinking about it, whenever you are not using your brush, I do highly recommend that you go ahead and place it in your water bucket. That will keep it nice and safe when it's not being used. Acrylic paint will set up and dry in just about sometimes 5 minutes or less, and so it can really destroy a brush if you forget about it. See. All right, so I've got some brush strokes happening here that I want to feather out just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take my brush, lay it over on the side parallel to the canvas, and I'm going to go ahead and feather this out just a little bit. a little bit closer to that sweet little fish eye. And feather that out. And I still have a lot of detail work to do in throughout here. I have not forgotten about that. I will go and get a little bit. All right, so here's my little bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick little twist into the paint. Just rotate the head of the brush. Nice fine point. And I'm gonna go ahead and come into this little fine detail area. So I do hold it like a pencil. That helps me manipulate the brush and really get in there. All right, so that first layer of detail work definitely held it like a pencil and worked into those smaller areas. Then I can still take this smaller brush and just kind of lightly feather it out to the side, and that will help feather in the rest of it to help it blend better and then remove some of those little brush strokes. So we've got a nice finish here for the base of our fish. So this is going to be our background color, this beautiful turquoise. And if you do want to add just a little bit of some lovely blended effect of more white coming through the center, you can certainly do that. Or if you're thinking, nope, that's too high level, I'm gonna leave it just the way it is, you're more than welcome to do that too. But you can touch into just a little bit of some pure white while the paint is still wet, and then just do a nice little soft blend through the body here. I do make sure that the paint is still wet, and I just kind of lightly apply that through the surface. And then I work back in just a little bit of the turquoise over the top as well to help soften that just a little bit. And I just get one light little soft blend right through the belly of the fish. And this is a very subtle effect, but it does add a nice little touch to it to have a little bit of that white kind of going through the body of the fish. So it just adds a little bit of variety to the color. All right, so we are done with that. Now I'm going to work on the base color of the rose next. All right, so I want to use my Mama brush. Here's my Mama. And then I will be mixing up a little bit of some red and then also some white. All right, red and white. And that makes pink. All right, red and white makes pink. Now, if you want more hot pink, add more red. Want more baby pink white, then we add a lot more white to that. So baby pink, add more white. Hot pink, add more red. I'm gonna hold it this way so my black doesn't run in there. Black will mix with that and make mauve, and we don't want that today. All right, so I've got my base here with my beautiful pink, and I'm just going for something right in the middle. Just a basic, lovely pink, middle ground. Not too light, not too dark. And then I want to go ahead and feather that out by turning my brush a little bit over to the side. There's my beautiful rose. That's the start. Okay, so we have a lot more fun pattern work to do over the top, but for right now, I'm just getting my basic foundation work done. So I've got that in place. All right, next up, I want to do a really pretty butterfly color. And I think I want to add some orange to this and I'm going to do like a really pretty coral color. So I'm going to keep my light pink over here. I'm going to add a lot of this bright, vibrant orange to this. In fact, now that I look at that, I may just kind of go with a peach color. In the original, I had yellow, but I'm going with peach this time. Keep it light and bright. Add a little bit more red for that pinky tone. Very pretty. And I definitely want some contrast right next to that rose. I don't want it to be the exact same color, so I'm going to pull in more of that orange. So I used orange and red and white. This is what I call color blocking. So I'm just working that in first, getting all of the base work done for all of our solid shapes. All right, so next up we've got some beautiful little green leaves. So I'm gonna pull in a different plate here with some different colors. And I will be using some green and white. Put those two together, green and white. I've got my little buddy brush here. I'm going to mix those two together. And I definitely want some contrast up against that turquoise, so I want to add a lot more white to this. Probably even pushing it to more of like a mint color. And then I will hold my brush on the edge side. That will help me do that nice thin line. And then as I work into the center of this beautiful little leaf, then I will go ahead and turn that brush over to the side parallel to the canvas. Do the same thing over here. Line edge first. That helps us get that precision that we need to get around that little shape. And then hold the brush over to the side. Fill it in. And this one, and my honey bear just got home. And my dog just shook her head about. She sounds like Tinkerbell running around. Beautiful. So we have gorgeous base now for our leaves. It's all starting to get set up with all of our lovely color blocking. All right, next we will do a beautiful light gray for this little fin in here, and then also for the mouth. All right, so I need to grab another plate here, little buddy brush, and a little bit of some black and a little bit of white. Mix those two together, black and white makes gray. Hold that brush like a pencil. That'll help you do the line edges. All right, lots of foundation work happening here. Gotta get a smaller brush. All right, so smaller little buddy here. Hold it like a pencil. Go ahead and work into that shape. Okay, next we will do a, let's see what color do I want. Decisions. Oh, let's do a purple. That'll be fun. Okay. All right, a little bit of white, a little bit of purple. Beautiful. So I mixed this together and I made a gorgeous lavender. So again, that is just purple and white. And I shall make my beautiful little fishy. This is bait. You have to make bait beautiful. Alright, so it's going to be a gorgeous lavender color. Getting some transparency, so I'll feather this back in with a light hand over the top. Alright, and then I will add in a little bit more white to that, keep that mix going. And I want my little beautiful fishing pole to be that lavender as well. Yay! Okay, so that's our next step there. And we have got some beautiful pattern work to work in now. So next, I will be taking my little bit brush and we're going to start to work on that beautiful rose. So I need just white paint for my first layer on the rose. So I take my little bit brush and I go ahead and push it into the white paint. Do a little bit of a twist to get that nice fine point. And then I go ahead and push on just little half circles all the way around that shape of the rose. And I keep working this on in a circular pattern and work it in towards the center. All right, that is looking absolutely gorgeous. And now we need to do the second layer, which will be the darkest color for the contrasting shadows that will come into play. So I will take my little bit brush and I will push into a little bit of this red. And I'll do a little spot for my shadow right in the center. And then I will work on a little half circle here. And I just basically repeat that same pattern that we just did in little wispy half circles that just work their way around that rose. And I'll take that all the way around. I'm a little bit more minimal with the darker colors next. I want to be a little bit more subtle with that. And if you do get a little too heavy-handed with the darkest shadows that come in, you can always come back in with bigger strokes of the white back over the surface area. All right, next up, we're going to do, let's see, I'll need a little bit of some outline work happening around our cute little leaves here. So I will be using my little bit brush again. I made sure to rinse it off, dry it off really well, get out all the excess moisture there. And then I'm going to mix up this beautiful turquoise again. So that was our white and our blue and our green. Mix all those together. We'll go a little bit heavier with the blue this time because I want some nice contrast happening. In fact, a lot of blue. Let's keep it pretty heavy with the blue because I actually need it to be quite a bit darker than what's happening with the fish and the leaves. All right, so lots of cobalt blue in this. Mostly cobalt blue and then little touches of the white and the green. And then I will twist the head of the brush into a nice fine point. And then I will go ahead and do a quick little line around those little leaf shapes. Just smaller a little bit. Let's see. Let's do this one right here. All right, it's still a liner brush, but it is a little bit smaller on the end. And I just hold it lightly out on the side and then just drag it out to a nice fine point. All right, and then what's fun now too, you can make just a tiny little line right through the center, add a little bit of a curve to that. Gorgeous. All right, and while the paint is still just a little bit wet, I will come back in with the same little bit brush and just a little touch of the white. Do that nice little twist into the white again, and then just kind of lightly feather back through that blue, just right next to it. Just adds a nice little white highlight just beneath the blue line for a little added amount of dimension there. All right, so next up we'll be wanting to do a nice harder black, not a black line, more of like a charcoal line, but we will use black and white paint to mix that up. All right, so I will be using my little bit brush again. And I've got my black and I've got a little bit of white. We'll mix those together, and that will give me a really dark charcoal. And I'm going to go ahead and take this all the way around that shape. This helps define that a little bit. And then you can make a few little diagonal lines up. Soft little curve with these. All right, little bit brush again, still coming in with that amount of white and black mix for that dark charcoal. And then we'll make a few little lines on the fish to accent some of the pattern that happens. All right, so I've got one tiny little line here, just a soft sketch of a line, and then lift off with a light hand, and we're going to echo that shape of the mouth. And then 1, 2, 3. All right, right, just simple little sketches of lines create really beautiful pattern work over the top to help really make it pop out like the beautiful fish that it is. All right, so now I want to also define the mouth up here too, so I'm going to come back in with that charcoal color, darker charcoal, little bit brush, twist that brush into a nice fine point, and then go ahead and make a little line that comes around the outside. Awesome. Okay, now we need to make the eye, and making a really small circle can sometimes be a little bit tricky. So I use a wonderful trick. I use the handle of the brush and I just dip right into the black paint here. Ta-da! See, there's my little black spot, and I just press straight forward into that spot. And there is my perfect circle. So you can use that magical trick to do a polka dot pattern in different places. It's a lovely little trick to do, and I love it because it makes the same size circle every single time. And so if you need to make it a little bit smaller, of course you can use a smaller brush too. For example, that would be a much smaller circle that you could do for a dot pattern. All right, now I need to define this beautiful butterfly up here. So I will be using my little bit brush and just pure black paint. And in the center, actually quite done with that circle technique. Let's make the head of the butterfly. So we want to go ahead and take that brush, same brush we were just using, dip into the black paint, and let's go ahead and do the head of the butterfly right in there. Awesome. All right, then I will extend the body to the base here, just a nice thin line. Beautiful. And then we'll make a little line to that curve there, and another line here, diagonal down to that curve there. And with my butterfly, I basically want to just start with a simple little outline around it. Wonderful, okay. And then we'll just work on the rest of the design, but just think about symmetry when you start to place that on. Okay, so by symmetry, basically what I mean is whatever you do on one side, then make sure you do it on the opposite side next. So I'm going to start with one just thin line right through the center. So then I'll do the same thing here. And then I'll come up and do another line from here to here. And then here to here. And you'll have to keep doing a nice little twist into the paint, just like that. And that'll twist it out to a nice fine point. And then if you see some parts that seem a bit thicker than other areas, remember to taper that brush back out again. And just lightly lay it on the side and do a nice little soft blend into those areas to help kind of feather that out. love it. It's looking so good. Okay, so now we have a little bit of defining work to do over the pole here. So I actually will prefer using a longer line edge of a brush. It's much easier on the hand, and so a lot of times if you use too small of a brush, the hand will get a little bit of a shake happening and you lose some of your precision. So this actually helps the hand go with a smoother line. So see that nice thin line edge there? So I'll go ahead and use this to make that line edge go all the way across. And then all the way across. And we got to connect the bait. And we tied it with a little string, so I do a quick little, oh, there's my little string. And then I want to go ahead and do a line edge around that. And you can see how I'm steadying my hand with my pinky here. That's another little trick. So it just, if you rest the weight of your hand on your pinky, it just helps stabilize your hand. Kind of like a kickstand on a bike, or training wheels, however you want to think about that. We all need a little bit of help sometimes. And I want my little fishy to have an eye. Okay, so I need tiny brush. So this is the tiniest one I've got. I'm gonna go ahead and push down into that black paint. And I want a little eye, just like that. All right, very fun. All right, and then I will also be coming in with a nice black outline around this fish. So I will come back in with my mama brush and I will go ahead and do a nice thick line all the way around here, as much as I can. Now, when the shape of the fish gets to be a little bit too curvy, got to switch to a smaller brush, but as much as possible, I try to use this bigger brush to go ahead and come around that shape. A lot of curves happening on this little fishy, so I'm going to have to switch to a smaller brush. So I've got my little buddy here, and I'm going to press back and forth into the paint. Now, little buddy is awesome because he still has a nice little flat line, but much smaller, so he can get around these little curves that we need him to get around. Oh, I have a tiny bit more up at the top. All right, so here we go. Little tiny lines. So hold that brush like a pencil and just pure black paint. All right, right. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, if we want to make this pop just a little bit more, I can do a little hint of the black around that. Feather that in there. A little bit more of a light sketch of some black up there too to help pull in that defining mouth there. All right, so we have our beautiful fish and all of our pattern work done now. Very simple, easy process. You can continue to paint in all of your background if you want to. You can just, in my model I did just pure black paint, so there's no mix on that. Or you can just let it be white. So your canvas is already painted and primed white, and so you can just let it be. So you can just kind of, nice little cheat there, just let it be white. It's really beautiful. And then let's talk about our lettering a little bit here too. So the phrase that I have chosen is called "Kiss My Country Bass." Yes, it is inspired by the wonderful Blake Shelton. We love him out here in Oklahoma. And I encourage everybody to use a pencil first. So, ta-da, let's pencil in our lettering here. That way you can check your spelling. You can, make sure it all still fits on the space. One of the things I will tell beginners, the paint is actually, it's bigger than writing. And so sometimes if you just try to paint it on without any planning, you can end up getting halfway through a word and run off your canvas and run out of space. So you definitely want to plan this out, take this step to do that. All right, so I've got my kiss, and then my, and then country, and then bass. Kiss my country bass. Okay, now what I highly recommend here too, you can use paint on this, and you can use the little bit brush, and remember the little trick where you take your brush and you do the little twist into the paint. All right, that is one way, or you can use the Sharpie. So for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and use my Sharpie here, or a paint pen works really great as well. But there is a lot of precision with a Sharpie. Also, a paint pen is wonderful. So I'll just go over all of my pencil work here. And people love these. Now my hand, watch this. Yeah, see, I'm messing that up. Oops. All right, so pay attention. Do as I say, not as I do. So my hand is rubbed into all my pencil lines, but I can come back later after everything is set up and dry. And even Sharpie needs a lot of set up and dry time or it will run. So I do have to let that set up. But I've got smudges happening here. So that's a good lesson. Learn from my example. Don't do the same. Don't make the same mistake. As I say, there are no mistakes, only possibilities. All right. Ta-da! And the other cool thing about this too is I can actually come back in with my paint. This gives a great foundation. We did like a triple layer protection here. So we've got pencil first, planning. Then we've got our Sharpie. That way we know we've got a nice fine black line. And then if you still want that authentic look of paint pen, or use your little bit brush and just come back in with black paint right over the top here. And then make sure you give it lots of dry time. I would just wait till the next day and actually just take your eraser and then come back in and do a little bit of some touch-up work to help kind of clean up any of those smudges that are still left behind there. Because sometimes you might do what I just did, and it's not too bad, but But I did have a little bit of run-in with my pencil lines and it kind of smudged a little bit, but now I think we're okay. But I'll also need to clean up my penciling the next day and I can just erase it and it'll look absolutely beautiful. And then also sign your masterpiece. Now traditionally the signature is done in the right hand side, but today my compositions, you can see it's pretty crowded over here. So I'm going to go ahead and do my little signature right over here. Tipsy Artist, cheers. All right, so we have done our beautiful painting, Kiss My Country Bass. Hope y'all enjoyed it. It is so simple and fun, and we just love teaching beginners how to paint. Come back and see us.